Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats. We are a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Jake, and I'm joined in the virtual studio on a Thursday evening. It's not even Footy's Eve, it's Footy's Day. We've made it through the dark off-season. Johnny, we got there. How are you?
It's still dark times though, because there's no Cats football on this weekend. It's all just other teams playing. So what's the point? What's the point in existing through this Geelongless weekend of AFL? No, we're only going to wait another week.
What's your game of the round then? Out of the four, what do we got? We've got Sydney and Melbourne tonight. We've got Brisbane and Carlton. We've got GWS and Collingwood. What's the other one? I'm missing one.
Gold Coast and Richmond.
All right, what's your game of the round?
I'm going to say Gold Coast and Richmond. They both got a point
to
prove. Well, Gold Coast got to impress Damien Hardwick. You know, he's keen. He'll be keen to get off to a good start, especially against his old team, and his old team would want to embarrass him and embarrass his sons. So I think it could be a pretty feisty game. I think there could be a lot in it. So I'll say that one. But I won't be watching because I'll be at work.
Very good. I just
but I won't spend any time on it.
For a minute.
Because every 6
in the meantime,
torn to pieces in far north Queensland.
That's right. It's funny though. You were just saying, you know, the Tigers will be really keen to embarrass, Hardwick and his sons. And I was like, Jesus, John's a bit personal, like embarrass Hardwick and his sons. And then I was like, he coaches the Suns. He coaches the Gold Coast Suns, Jake. SUNS, not SONS. I really was going, Jesus, Johnny's really sticking the boots in tonight.
Does he even have any children, Damien Hardwick?
I've got no idea. No idea. But we do know that Richmond will, be keen to embarrass his Gold Coast Suns. I look, for as much as there's been a lot of shit talked about opening round, and I was probably one of the people who talked shit about it, I actually think it's four pretty half decent games. But I have to say, the stakes of GWS and Collingwood feel pretty high. That feels like a really nice way to cap off the weekend.
That would be my.
I think that's going to be real ugly, John, and I hope it is.
I think the two Saturday games could get pretty ugly, and I think they could be possibly worth watching. I'll probably watch a bit of tonight's game. Probably not the whole games, but I think
just because
it's not Cats. But I think the Collingwood Giants game. Collingwood played some pretty entertaining games last year. Giants always pretty entertaining to watch. So I think, I agree with you there. It's going to be a pretty full-on, nasty, high-octane football match.
We can only hope. All right. Well, we have a pretty nasty, high-end podcast to get you going with. Next week, obviously, we're going to go Monday night. We're going to do our annual Stonks episode. We'll go down to the Stonks floor. We'll talk all about which Cats you should buy Stonks in ahead of the 2024 men's season. And then Thursday night will be our very first official, meaningful game preview, just a couple of days out from Cats v Saints. But in the meantime, make sure you go on over and subscribe to the Hoops Crew on YouTube, on Spotify, all those sorts of places, because there's basically daily Cats coverage, fan-produced Cats coverage coming at you there. We had the debut of Rach Danderfield's Don't Forget Your Tips on YouTube. That's coming to you every Wednesday, so make sure you go and watch that one on YouTube. We've got Paul's Behind the Play episode, including some interviews with Jed Hughes and Dr. Peter Larkins, all that sort of stuff. Ben we'll be getting on a number of live shows this year. His post-game live shows. He's got another one coming out called Full Nuff Mode. So make sure you go on over and you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribed on Spotify, all that sort of thing. But tonight
Definitely
on the Chaps Chat Cats, what have we got for you? Well, this is what we've got for you. We're doing
What have we got?
the Cats 2024 yearbook. Now, this was obviously normally we have Sambo with us, but we're still
Normally
wrangling
do.
the three of us together for a Thursday show. But he came up with the idea, Johnny. We said, what can we do tonight? It's a bit of a in-between episode because the season's not quite started, but we've got it. We want to get into the habit of doing 2 a week. So we said, Sambo threw out, let's do the 2024 Cats yearbook. So we're going to be going through
Fantastic
in the
idea.
style of a yearbook. Exactly. He's an ideas man, is Sam.
Here's
So
ideas, man.
that's what we're going to be doing. And then for the Patreon part of the show, the extended part of the show, we're going to just duck behind the Patreon curtain. And we're just going to basically do an early sneak peek ahead to Cats v Saints. We might talk about the latest AFLW recruit for the Cats side. So we'll just do a bit of odds and ends, I guess, a bit of bits and pieces in the Patreon. So if you want to watch or listen to that bit, go on over and subscribe to the Hoops Crew Patreon page. All right, let's get into it, Johnny. The Cats 2024 yearbook. These are our predictions. All right. We're going to be going in the format of most likely in a number of categories. And we're going to start with some fairly standard ones. And I'd love to hear from listeners and viewers on these. Would like to hear what their thoughts are. And we're going to start with you, Johnny. And I'm going to ask you,
Beautiful.
when you open up that yearbook, you're looking through all the pictures, 2024 Geelong Cats Premiership winning yearbook. And you're going to come to a photo, and underneath the photo, it says, most likely to kick first goal of the year. Who's that player? Who's the one who's going to put the ball through the big sticks the first time for us this season, Johnny?
Well, I think you could go a couple ways about this, or about 3 ways. You could go the very safe option in Tom Hawkins. I think he's a very high chance of getting the first goal for obvious reason. You could go the other safe option, Jeremy Cameron. You again, similar. Right up there to get first goal quite easily. And then I think you could go down another path where you go, which like a small forward who could get the first goal. But I'm not going that way. But I'm going to say it's our other big tall forward, up and coming tall forward, Ollie Henry. I reckon he's a good chance. He's not as high a chance as Hawkins or Jeremy Cameron, but I think he's a good chance to get first goal. And if he does get the first goal, I think that'd be a big boost to the Cats, to himself, and for the fans as well. I think the fans would love seeing Ollie Henry kick that first goal after a really good mark, Specky off the back of one of St Kilda's defenders, nice and high, and then slots it from like a 45-degree angle, 45 meters out, something like that. And we'll be able to tell because we'll be there live to see if it happens.
Exactly. I love it. So Johnny's going most likely to kick the first. Yes.
I was going to say, if it all goes really well to plan, it'll be at the Joel Selwood end as well. I think if the Cats win a toss, they'll definitely be kicking Joel Selwood stand first.
All right. I love it. I love it, Johnny. And I think it's a really good pick too. We're in agreement here on the podcast. I think across all three of us that Ollie Henry's going to have a big year. Oh, interesting. I am going to say the first goal of the season will be kicked to Jeremy Cameron. I'm going to go chalk here.
Nice.
I think Cats find a fluent passage of play, chess mark leading out from about 45, and he goes back and puts it through, and we're underway for another big season down at the Cattery. 40,000, Johnny. 40,000 rabid Cats fans.
Rocking.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the
and
Jeremy
I think
Cameron
it'll be really rocking after Big Jez. Slots one
Yep.
on the left. Yep. So we're going Ollie Henry,
Yep.
we're going Jeremy Cameron. Outside of the forwards, I had visions of Max Holmes
Yep.
gliding past and launching one from 50. Maybe someone takes
Yep.
a mark just outside their range and he just runs past and gets it. That'd certainly be a way to set the trend, to set the standard for the year. But yeah, I think Jezza Cameron, Ollie Henry sound like good picks there.
I think so.
From
And
us.
knowing no luck, it's going to be Tom Hawkins. I think that'll be a pretty
Yeah, that's
special
right.
moment. Hawkins to kick the first goal at the Joel Selwood end. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I
That'd
think they're going to target Hawkins to get the first goal.
it, it would be
But I'm
amazing.
sticking
Um,
with Ollie Henry.
all right. Well then, after the most likely to kick the first goal of the year, we've had that. We're ready for the next one. Who is likely to win the first clearance of the year for the Cats? Johnny,
This is
which
a
player is
tough
going to
one.
emerge from that first ball up and with the ball running in the Cats' favour? Who are you going with?
Well,
Because I would have
I've
said
got,
Sam Guthrie if he was playing.
yes, I've got two names in mind, and they're
All
both
right.
very similar players. But I'm also cautious that Patrick Dangerfield could start on the bench. But if he doesn't, I could see him
Mhm.
getting a first clearance out of the centre. Or the other one is um, Tom Atkins as well. I could see him just running through, getting the ball, sending it inside 50, nice and
Mm.
quick to Hawkins or Jeremy Cameron or Ollie Henry. But I also like the way Jai Clark played in that last quarter against the Bombers. I feel like he's got some pep up
Mm.
about him. If he gets selected, if he starts on the ground, he'll be a big chance. But I'm going to go safe option this time, and I'm going with P Daddy to get the first clearance of the game
Well,
of the year.
how likely do you reckon Jai Clark is to get selected? Like, do you think that's something we could see? Is it something you'd want to see, or do you think it's like just an outside, maybe if someone's got a niggle sort of thing?
Um, my gut feeling is I reckon they should select him because the sim match and the practice match he seemed to only get better and better. So I think the more games they could get into him, and the sooner and more consistently, I think the better he's going to advance and better he's going to develop, and just the better player he'll become sooner. So I'd like to see him in there. I think he's basically done enough nearly to earn his spot. So yeah, I think I would like to see him played at for round one.
Yep. I'm going to go with I think the player that's maybe been hyped more than any other as Geelong's 2024 midfield saviour in the wake of the Cam Guthrie injury, and that's Tanner Bruin. I actually do
Nice.
feel like he's going to have a big game uh, next weekend against the Saints, and I think that I can just imagine Stanley winning a really nice tap out straight down to him spinning away from the pack and getting Geelong's season underway with a really nice first clearance. I hope he does. Like, he's got so much. There's so many players in this Geelong team that have a lot of pressure on them, and I feel like he's just one of them. But
Yep.
I think Tanner Bruin for me. I think he's going to win
Nice.
that first takeaway for the Cats. All right, so we're talking takeaways, we've talked goals, but what about just disposals, Johnny? Which player most likely to rack up 30 disposals first this year?
This
Who
is a
hits
tough
the
one.
30 mark this year for the Cat? I know.
This is a
Do you want me to
real
go
tough
first on
one.
this one? Because I've got a clear answer.
You go. You go first.
All right.
You
I
haven't
think
gone
it's Tom
first yet.
Stewart. I
Yeah,
think Tom
that's
Stewart
a good point.
gets, I think even it could come round one. I think it's like a, 10 or 12 mark performance,
Yeah.
31 touches, 25 of them are kicks, 6 are handballs or something. And I think now he might not be the only Cat to do it. That'd be great. If we had two, my goodness, I would be over the moon if we had two players get 30 plus touches in round one.
Me too.
But yeah, I'm going to go Tom Stewart. I think he's the first player to get 30 touches this year, and it won't be playing in the midfield that gets it done for him. What about you?
Well, I'm going with the excitement machine of the practice match against Bombers. He got 29, so I reckon he's going to get cracked at 30. Max Holmes, because he was 29 off about 60 or close to 80% of time on ground. So I reckon he could spend a lot more
Yeah, something
time
like that.
on the ground, and I reckon he'll get the 30. That's
I
just the
like
way it
it.
was running.
So
I think he'll
30 for
get
Max
the 30.
Holmes. Interesting. We're both going like players who might line up in the back line. Tom Stewart
Mm,
and Max Holmes off halfback. So, but I think that was probably another name I would have gone to. I think there's going to be like enough heavy rotation in the midfield that at least in week one, I don't know. I wouldn't put my money on Danger or Atkins or Bruin to get 30. I think you might have a couple of guys past 20.
yeah,
Whereas those defenders stay on the field more. So
I
yeah,
agree.
I like that. I like both those. All right, now we're going into one. It's a prediction on progress, Johnny, because the next page, as we turn through the 2024 Geelong yearbook, we're going to look at most likely to improve. Do you know where you're
Oh,
going for this? The player you think's most likely to improve in 2024?
I do, because we did it in another episode, which is coming out later in this
Debuts
week.
tomorrow.
Debuts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I should spoil it if this comes out before then. I'm gonna say
Just go with a different answer for fun.
I'll just go with a different answer for fun. Confuse people. So that's why I'm
Do it.
gonna choose Tanner Bruin's gonna improve the most. It's just as a different answer from the last
Okay.
one.
All right.
Most improved, I reckon, Tanner
I
Bruin.
like it.
Or closely followed by Jai Clark.
What are you wanting, like, in terms of improvement from Tanner Bruin? Like, what gets it done for you from him? Like, what is he doing right now? Maybe that like, what did he do in 2023 that you'd like to see improved in 2024? That'll indicate that improvement for you.
Mainly just the way he gets the ball and disposals of that ball, and the way he
Mm.
seems to like know his way around the ground. I think we start to see that he's getting a
Yep.
lot smarter in how he positions himself on the ground for the Cats. Like he was very clever at doing it last year. I'd just like to see that next step up for each of those situations where he gets in those really clever spots. And I think he will. I think
Mm.
he's got a high chance of just improving all of his stats and all his positioning and get that kicking in order as well. But yeah, I think what we've seen so far, he's definitely worked on it, improved it, and knows his way around this cat system. So I reckon he's in for a pretty big year.
I like it a lot.
What about you?
I don't know. This is a tough one for me. Most likely to improve because it's I actually find this really tough. See, Max Holmes, I could see having a season where everyone's like talking about him a lot more than they were
Yeah,
last year. As a for instance, where he just features more as a weapon for the Cats, maybe than previous seasons. They finally find that exact role to fit him in, and he just shreds it. So like that's definitely one that comes to mind. I already watched Ollie Dempsey be really good in the VFL, so to me, it's not like he's not stepping like he's just bringing what he's already doing into the side. I'm going to go Max Holmes. I'd say he is most
nice.
likely to improve. I think his kicking efficiency will come up just a bit, but I think also his consistent ability to damage teams. Like I feel like last year, I could be wrong, but my sense is last year was really up and down. Like he'd have games where he looked
Yeah,
absolutely awesome, and then he'd have games where it's like, can we get the ball to Max Holmes? Or I think he's going to benefit from that positional change. Um, I think he's going to have the ball in his hands more often, which maybe is part of the positional change. Like sometimes when he was out on the wing last year, if we weren't winning contested ball, it was like, well, we can't get it out to Max Holmes. Whereas if he's playing in the back line, we can maybe feed him more directly, and
Yeah.
spark those kickouts. Players take an intercept mark on the D50 and he can stream past and kickstart the counter attack. So I think that by virtue of getting the ball more often, I think Max Holmes, the damage he does to other teams is going to see him improve. And I think that's really likely to happen, I guess, is the key word. It's most likely to happen
Yeah.
because we've already seen indications of it. All right. So we've talked a bit about some young players whose careers are,
We
just
have.
starting and just beginning to bloom, Johnny. But let's talk about the
They
other
are.
end of things. Who is most likely to walk into the sunset at the end of this season, Johnny?
Oh,
Who do you think it is? Which player? I know there's
you're
a
gonna get us
few, but
emotional
some are
here.
more likely than others. I know. Get your tissues out.
I think I think it'll be I think it'll be Reece Stanley who is most likely to hang up them boots at the end of the year, especially with Toby Conway coming in. He could completely take his rucking position if he's good enough and forces him out. But yeah, I don't know. As much as I wouldn't want to see it there, I do think Reece Stanley is a high chance that this may be his last year, especially if they.
Mhm.
I think if all goes according to plan and they do make the last day and win the whole thing, I think that then it could be a few more go. What more do I need to do in this game? But at the moment, I don't know. But I'm just thinking Reece Stanley is most likely for me. Like I can see
Uh,
a few others continuing on for another year at least.
yeah. I'm I'm gonna go a bit different. I'm saying it's Mitch Duncan. I just did a quick Google
Oh,
and it's his contract is with the Cats, at least on the Google search that I did, runs through the
okay.
end of 2024. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just get this feeling that Mitch Duncan's going to do one more. I think the sort of it'll be a little bit like the Jimmy Bartell, sort of situations and stuff. But way back when it was like
Yep.
you can play on if you want to, but you're not going to be guaranteed a spot at selection. And I think my prediction is that he's most likely to just say, "Well, I've had a bloody great career, and I'm ready to call it a day. I don't need an extra year squeezed out at Freo, or good. I've had a great career, and I'm ready to walk off into the sunset with my premiership medals and an absolutely legendary career in the
Yep.
hoops." Uh, all right, let's dive deeper. Let's dive deeper, John. Let's
Let's
talk
do it.
about this one. Who is most likely to get a mid-year revitalizing hair transformation? Who is it? And maybe it's after
Ooh,
the mid-season bye. A player comes back from that couple of weeks away, and we're like, "Who's that? Who is it?"
who is that?
Do you have one in mind already?
I don't. Do you have one in mind?
I've actually, I've got a couple. I've got a couple. Um, let's let's roll. Let's roll with Brad Close. All right.
Oh,
Now bear
yep.
with me. Bear with me. This is going to be this is going to be a shocker one for people. Let's say Brad Close just has a decent start to the season. He's just like struggling
Yep.
to find that consistency. Everyone's like, what's going on with Closey? Like
No
can
sleeves.
he's just up and down. Yeah, he's up and down. He's got no God, if he's got no sleeves, we're in no hope. No,
Yeah.
but he comes back. He comes back after the bye and he's
Mhm.
buzzed the hair a little shorter, and he's got
Ooh.
that, like, blonde tennis ball look with his black
Oh.
mustache combo.
Are you saying he's
There
gonna
you
do a
go.
bit of a bleach job?
Yeah, yeah, almost a little bit
Ooh,
modern day Jason Ackermanis, but with more of a tennis ball fuzz look as
I like
opposed
it.
to me too, I kinda wanna see it now.
Well, I'm gonna
Especially if he
go
keeps
with
the sleeves.
there. I'm going to go with one that's highly, extremely unlikely because I don't know how someone could do this unless they start now and let it make its way throughout the season. But I'm going to say Tom Atkins, and he's going to come back after the midweek bye, headband,
Mhm.
long hair.
We need to see it. Is
Yeah,
we need imagine it that's what they should all do for
yeah.
Mad Monday or whatever they call it now. They should all just come with the Reece Stanley, Tom Stewart, Zach Guthrie, Tanner Bruin,
Tanner
Mark
Bruin.
Blicavs look. Everyone just with the
Yeah.
long hair and the band. I love it
As I
because
said, I don't know
it's
how
tough,
it's going
right?
to be possible because we'll see it
Yeah.
happen throughout the
He's just gonna
season. It gets longer and longer. But I don't think there'll be a better sight than the long hair. It's sort of like Bailey Smith for the Bulldogs. He's got the long blonde
mm,
hair and sort of that mullet. I think Tom Atkins is one of those players that can pull that off as well and look majestic while running down that
I just
midfield.
loved he just goes and gets, like, long hair implanted, like, at the
Yeah,
mid-season break. It's just
hair
like, you know
extensions.
what'll really fix things? Yeah.
And the good thing
It's
is he just
tough
has to do it
because
until Smith comes here anyway. So it's only a little while.
do you know what would be the weirdest one? Is if
Yeah.
Zach Tui went clean shaven.
Oh, I think the
If for
whole
some reason we
John
came back
Rance would
after the
start crying.
mid-season and be like, yeah,
Be
it's
like
so iconic. Either,
it'd be like the babies when they see their dads shave for the first time. You'd stare at him, go,
we'll just cry.
yeah, just start bawling their eyes out, going, "Who are you? You're not our Irish Moroccan sunset."
You're not our Irish daddy.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This is also a bit of a fashion question. Who is most likely to pull a wardrobe change and don the long sleeves on a cold winter's night at KP? I've got an answer for this one, John.
You got
I'm
an
happy to
answer?
lead off here. Yes.
Go lead off.
Um, I now it's got to be a surprise. Now, my first one was I was going to say Ollie Dempsey, but I
Mhm.
kind of feel like that wouldn't necessarily be that surprising. So instead, I'm going to say Mark Blixarves dons the
Whoa!
sleeves,
I'm not sure if I
and I
like
would
that.
like to see it.
That's a bit
I would
weird.
like to see it. Blix with the long sleeves. There'll be some YouTube viewer now who'll dig up a picture saying Mark
Yeah,
Blixarves already used to wear the sleeves, but that would be mine. A shock at halftime.
that would
It's
be a
a
shock.
frigid night down at KP. Big blitz. Chucks the long sleeves on. Um, what about you? Who have you got in mind?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna suggest. I reckon it's gonna be Jack Henry. And I think they
Oh,
could do a bit
I
of
would actually
a
like that.
confusing the opposition because Ollie Henry likes to wear this long sleeves. So maybe Jack cuts his hair, grows a bit of a
Mm,
dirty moustache, and then
yeah.
confuses the opposition of going, "There's two Ollie Henrys out here. What's going on?"
It would weird me out if Jezza wore long sleeves.
It would. That would too. Yeah, yeah.
Some players, it's just or Danger. I don't know if Danger's ever done it, but I like
I don't think he
that would sort of
has.
weird me out a bit. All right. Remember to send us yours. If you're watching this, sound off in the comments with what you would, what your answers to some of these questions. We like to hear from you. We'd like to hear your opinions on these things. All right. Next up, second last one here, Johnny. The most likely to be the most suspended player of the year on the Cats.
um,
Who have you got? Where are you going?
I'm going
Tough one.
with. It is a tough
Wait.
one, maybe, but I reckon it's an old little angry man, Tom Stewart. I reckon he gets the most
Hard to look
suspended,
past
but
it.
not like most consistent throughout the year. But I reckon he gets the most weeks suspended in one go again because he'll do something crazy like even shoulder down pressure again at the Gem HVA because he gets angry
Mm,
and gets suspended for like
yeah.
4 to 5 weeks. That wouldn't surprise me.
God, I hope not. I hope not.
It
But
would
yeah,
be
I can definitely
terrible.
see it. He just plays on that, like, right on that edge where it's like if you
Yeah, it
get it
does.
wrong, yeah, you get weeks. But I don't think I'd want to change him because I think that that's what gives him the edge in a lot of
Absolutely.
situations. There's a couple of good candidates. Sambo threw out Gary Rowan and Brad Close with the changes in the chase down tackle rules.
Yeah.
And I suppose the idea might be that they might cop a couple of different suspensions if they don't, because Rowan, I think, already did he miss a week last year after the Hawthorn game for a chase down tackle or something where he drove the
Think
Hawthorn player into
so.
the ground?
Quite possibly.
Um, yeah, because I remember seeing it at the ground and not thinking it was anything. And then I saw it on replay once I
Mm.
was home. I was like, holy Jesus, yeah, probably was, did deserve a week. So those are options I like. I'll just throw this one out there. Tommy Hawkins having maybe a dirty night,
Yep.
gets frustrated, maybe throws
That's like
a
silly.
bit too vigorous jumper punch into someone's chin and cops, couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Like, it's so hard. I just don't think anyone like the Tom Stewart thing stands out as the most egregious cat suspension in recent years. Like, it's really
Yeah.
that and what else? I don't know, like someone will probably be able to point to one, but it feels like you got to go back quite a time since we've had someone that's been out for like 6 games in a single season. So I
Very long time.
I think, getting 2 to 3 weeks could almost win you this one at the Cats. So I'll just go for something different. Yeah, Tommy Hawkins, just a bit of a brain fade, maybe late on a frustrating evening, just throws a jumper punch that clips a chin and gets him a few weeks. All right, last one
All right.
for this. Most likely to give the funniest post-game interview. Now remember, this is it has to be not only like you've got to think player personalities, but you've also got to think
Yep.
players who might be interviewed. It
Well,
can't
I was
just
just
be
going to say,
anyone because this player has to go for it.
there's news that relates perfectly to this part, which is every player has to be open for an interview, post game interview. They can't say no anymore. So every
Okay.
player has to be available for a post game interview now.
Okay. Well, that really opens this one up. So who is it, John?
Yeah.
Who do you think this year gives the funniest
Oh,
post-game interview for the Cats?
my mind goes straight to Mark Blixefs, so I'm going to stick with Mark Blixefs. I think he'll give some funny interviews. I feel like Dangerfield might, but I think Mark seems like the most,
Mm,
jokingly jovial guy out of the whole group, alongside Tui. But I'm gonna stick with Mark Blixefs. I reckon he could come out with some funny stuff on a TV live broadcast.
I like it. I really like it. And I guess you're sort of trying to look too for people who maybe don't take themselves like as seriously.
Mm,
They've got to, a lot
yes.
of times it's going to be like a long-standing player who might not take themselves seriously, so they don't feel like they've got to always give the canned, like professional answer, which is why Tui, the Moroccan sunset interview and all that sort of stuff. I like the Blixarves call. I think that's a really good one. Um, Funniest post-game interview. I actually find this one really tough. There's a few um who might come to mind. Um, I'm gonna go. This is tough, John. This one's got me a bit stumped
Yes.
because I like yours. I like yours a lot. I like Blixar's. Tui seems like a really sort of an obvious answer. Do you know who I'm actually going to go with? And it sort of defies my criteria of has to be an established player and blah, blah. I'm going to say O'Sheen Mullen. We're going to
Ooh,
be living in the same neighborhood here as Zach. So we're going to go with an Irishman. But I don't know. I reckon I just feel like maybe O'Sheen has a big breakout night at some point. They get him on the mic and he just drops a few perlers that we all very much
nice.
enjoy. So I'm going to go with that.
I like it.
There's the opportunity there again to get some questions in about his fashion, particularly as it relates to his follicles. Tui, it was the
Yep.
Moroccan sunset. What about his? The
Yeah.
motion of the Ocean ponytail. Let's do that. Yeah, that's what I reckon it is. If I had to make a prediction, they'll ask him about his pre-game routine, putting his hair up, because it's like so much hair. It's such a big
There is a lot
bun
of
of
hair.
hair. Yeah, I reckon that's the line of questioning that'll lead to it. He'll have some line
Yep.
about his hair. All right, that's it. That is your blooming lot
That's
on
it.
this episode of the Chaps Chat Cats for the public part of the show. Please, if you would like extended podcast and video shows, consider going on over to the Hoops Crew Patreon page. Subscriptions start at just $5 a month. And even better than that, we're currently offering 7-day free trial. So if you want to check out what it's all about for a week, go on over and do that. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify or your favorite podcast app, hit the subscribe there as well. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the Chaps Chat Cats, the Hoops Crew, all our other shows over there. The season preview is out tomorrow. The Hoops Crew, the big show.
Woohoo.
There's 4
Big
of us
show.
all in the virtual studio. I believe it's 7 o'clock tomorrow night, so make sure you go and catch that. That's a public show available for everyone. It was an early release for Patreon subscribers a couple of days ago. We get into everything. Player arrivals, departures, coaching ins and outs, the fixture, predictions, the lot. It's all previewed in an hour and 25 minutes, so make sure you go and check that one out. But thanks for listening to this one. Thanks for watching this one. Johnny, thanks for joining me. And until next time, go Cats!
Go Cats!